Well, hello and welcome. Let's go ahead and see what we can get into. We're going to do a little of this Art Bell on 9/11.
From the high desert in the great American Southwest, this is Coast to Coast AM, and I'm Art Bell. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, as the case may be across the world, and we will get into international coverage as the night wears on. This, of course, is Coast to Coast AM, and I'm not like many of you, most of you probably. I've been up since early morning without rest, watching the horrific events of the day. And I've thought about what to do tonight all day long, and I have come to the conclusion that I cannot try to out-expert CNN or any of the other large outlets. You've been getting that all day long since early morning. It's still going on now, and I expect days from now it will still be going on. The events in New York are just, a lot of faxers and emailers to me said, there just aren't words. And yet, in radio and broadcasting, we deal in words. So I thought perhaps by this time of the night or morning, depending on your time zone, the best thing that I could possibly do would be to essentially open the lines and let all of you speak. Instead of just sort of sitting here and speculating, I'll let you speculate. There's no expert I could bring that would be more powerful than those CNN and others have had on the air. It's just as simple as that. So I'm going to open the phone lines here shortly. And I'm just going to let America speak to America. I know you've got a lot by now. You've got a lot of pent-up feet. I think that's the proper thing for me to do. What happened was compared by so many media outlets, to Pearl Harbor. It is certainly another day of infamy, but in my opinion, far more dastardly than Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, at least, was an attack on the U.S. military. This was an attack on U.S. civilians. In New York City, earlier today, I happened to speak with the president of our network, and I mean Premier Radio Network, the network that syndicates Rush Limbaugh, Dr. Laura, myself, Mike Reagan, and so many others. And when I spoke with him, I asked him if he would be supposed to come on the air tonight with me for a moment and sort of give us a rough idea of the mood, the feeling, and what's going on in New York. And he agreed to come on, even at this late hour. It's a little after 1 o'clock in the morning in New York, of course. So here from New York City is the president of this network, Craig Kitchen.
Good morning. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Where were you when all of this occurred, Craig?
I was in a building just above the very popular Radio City Music Hall marquee. Like so many other people in New York City, just starting what we would call just a normal business day. When we first heard the news of what really was the first, what we described as accident. And certainly thought that, after all this time and all that heavy traffic over New York City, that maybe one of those small consumer airplanes, the small civilian airplanes, might have accidentally flown into a tall building.
Oh, my. I can imagine that would be the first thought, of course, that there would have been some tragic accident. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly the electronic news and the availability of television newscasts and even the radio broadcast very quickly informed us that it was something much more than that, which is why I think so many people in New York City and probably to a lesser extent around the country had their televisions on. We witnessed that just horrific picture that we'll always have in our minds of a commercial airliner just literally right smack dab into the World Trade Center Tower number 2.
Yeah, burned into memories forever more. At the time, you would know about this. Of course, everybody wanted to know Rush. Where was Rush? Because it was right in that time period where all the confusion was going on. What, in fact, had happened to Rush?
Well, he had long planned to take today as a day. and was on a plane on his way to the middle of the country to make an appearance today. And his long anticipated vacation day for himself turned into, as you pointed out, many people perceiving that he might not be available or in a place that was safe. In reality, he was in an airplane that, like a lot of other aircraft around this country, were forced to land, and then had to go about the process of getting himself home, and he eventually did, back to a place that he could be on the air the last 30 minutes of the program.
Matter of fact, I caught a little bit of that program, Craig. Craig, as it became apparent what had happened in New York, what was it like in the city during the day?
The first 2 hours after the events, from 9:30 to 11:30 or so, was just a real mixture of emotion. Certainly, people were just caught in amazement. Many people crying or in tears or shaking with fear that either people that they knew were in the World Trade Center, or that some of the other high-profile buildings in New York City, the Empire State Building, for instance, Rockefeller Center, would be next, if you would, on the list of attacks. So there was certainly a great amount of fear, no panic, hushed comments, a lot of hugging. One building after another asked the employees of the building to vacate. So the streets were absolutely full of people, and again, no panic, a very orderly process. Many people, as many as 6 million people, commute onto the island of Manhattan every day. Of course, instantly the subways were closed, the trains, the ferries off of the island of Manhattan were closed, and